page 145, 145. Today we're going to study chapter 15 of the Sutta Discovery, volume 41, or SD 41.15. Samadhi Bala Sutta, the discourse on strength in Samadhi. In other words, how to strengthen our meditation practice. This is found in A 6.72. So we either remember the name of the sutta, Samadhi Bala Sutta, or we remember the number. A is Anguttara Nikaya, that means the numerical sayings. The book of sixes, the 6 items. 72 means sutta number 72. So it's A 6.72. Now this is a very short sutta, like many of the suttas in Anguttara. In other words, it is assumed that we should know the teachings of the earlier 2 Nikayas at least, the Majjhima Nikaya, middle length teachings, and the Samyutta Nikaya, connected teachings. The Digha Nikaya, the suttas are very long. They are more like to impress the public about the Buddha's teachings. So they are more like prospectus to show what Buddhism has to offer. So in terms of practice and meditation, we normally begin with Majjhima Nikaya, Samyutta Nikaya. And for lay people, usually the Anguttara teachings in the Anguttara Nikaya will be very helpful. So here's an example. The translation is on page 147, so let us go straight into it because it's very short, and I will explain as time permits. The discourse on strength in Samadhi. You notice brackets there in Samadhi because the sutta name Bala Sutta is quite common, the number of suttas bearing that name. So we put a kind of prefix, or in this case the translation is a suffix, in Samadhi. Here Samadhi broadly means meditation. More specifically, it means mental stillness or even jhana. But if you look at all the advice given in the sutta, we know very well the sutta is telling us how to do our meditation properly and effectively. Now this sutta is very simple. The structure is kind of divided into 2 equal parts. The first part is when someone fails in meditation, and the second part is how to succeed in terms of incapability and capability. The first section I've given the subheading, lacking strength in Samadhi. In other words, the meditation is not strong enough. Bhikshus are the monks. It comes from a Sanskrit word, bhikshu. You find this word in the English dictionaries. So we use this word for monks. Bhikshus, specifically referring to the Buddhist monks, and bhikshunis would be the Buddhist nuns. Bhikshus possessing 6 things, a monk is incapable of attaining strength or power in Samadhi. In other words, the meditation will be weak. What are the 6? Here bhikshus, a monk, of course here when you see the word monk, it refers to a meditator, any kind of meditator. In the commentaries, for example, Buddha Ghosha, in the commentaries to the Satipatthana Sutta, the commentator Buddha Ghosha explains that the word bhikkhu simply means a meditator, or the state of being a monk. So in other words here, the term we use in terms of practice. In other words, we look at meditation as the true form of renunciation. In a simple way, we can say that Buddhism is about renunciation, nikkhamma. But very often we tend to connect renunciation with the idea of a shaven head, wearing robes, and so on. That is a kind of what's called conventional renunciation. In other words, people who are attracted to the Buddhist spiritual life or holy life, monastic life, they get ordained so that they can practice meditation and attain awakening in nirvana in this life itself. That was the original intention of the Buddha. In other words, the idea of being a monk, originally in the Buddhist text, as taught by the Buddha, is so that we have this environment where we can meditate every day. We don't have to worry about other things, about family duties or worldly duties, renouncing worldly pleasure, because we are cultivating kind of a spiritual joy, even heavenly joy, if you like. So with that kind of joy, we build up, letting go of the world. Here the world means the five senses, with the mind making six senses, so that we attain such a high level of liberation that we are no more attached to the world. In other words, we are able now to truly help others by our own example, by our own inner peace. And this is a kind of summary of renunciation as taught in the early suttas. However, even as lay people, many of us who are in our normal state of mind, in other words, like anyone intelligent enough who are able to understand the suttas, who are able to understand this talk, we also can practice renunciation. The moment you sit down to meditate, you are beginning to practice renunciation. The first thing we renounce is the body. In other words, we sit down quietly, we just kind of don't bother about the body. Then we close our eyes, we let go of sound, our ears, we don't bother about smell, we don't bother about taste, we don't bother about touch or feeling. We let go of the five senses. It's just like we switch off all the five phones that we have, so that we can focus directly on the mind. Because the mind is the source of all our understanding, suffering, and so on. So we have to deal with how the mind works. So once we have renounced the body, the next thing we have to deal with are feelings. We find that certain things we like, certain things we don't like, certain feelings, nice feelings, we like them, we don't like painful feelings. Then there are certain feelings we are not sure about and we ignore them, so we have to deal with these kind of feelings. And then we learn to let go of these feelings also. So this is second satipatthana, the second level of meditation, if you like. And then we feel a bit more peaceful, then notice there are still thoughts there. All kinds of thoughts will come, good thoughts, bad thoughts, so we gently learn to let go of those thoughts. This is the third level of meditation, the third satipatthana, if you like. And then finally, when the mind is a bit more peaceful, we notice that various realities arise in our minds, dharmas. We begin to see the formable truth, impermanence, and so on, or glimpses and aspects of them. So in due course, we even let go of those when the time is right. So you can see in meditation, the idea is to simply let go. Like the analogy of the onion. So you keep peeling off the leaves of the onion, peeling off layer by layer, patiently. And in the end, when you've removed everything, there's nothing in the middle, emptiness, so to speak. So that is the highest peace, so to speak. So while we are meditating, if we do it properly, meaning we put in every effort, you are at that moment a monk, or better, you are a renunciant. You have renounced the world. The world here refers to your five senses, plus the mind, the six senses. Of course, for lay people, after that we come back to the world, go back to our daily functions and so on. So, but still, the idea of true renunciation is learning to be at peace with yourselves. So you can do that either as a monastic or as a lay person. So you can see here in these teachings, it applies to us also. These teachings is recorded in the book of numbered sayings or numerical sayings, Anguttara Nikaya, especially for the teaching of the lay people. Okay, look at 2.1. Here pictures a monk is not skilled in Samadhi. He's not skilled in attaining Samadhi. He's not able to attain a level of mental stillness. He's not skilled in remaining in Samadhi. He's not skilled in emerging from Samadhi or mental stillness. He does not practice with care. He does not practice with commitment or persistence. He does not do what is suitable. So there are 6 things here. That's why this teaching is recorded in the book of 6 items. Bhikshus possessing these 6 things, a monk is incapable of attaining strength in Samadhi. Now here the sutta doesn't say that the person is not meditating, it's just saying that the meditation is not strong. So how to strengthen your meditation is the second part. Gaining strength, or if you like, power in meditation, in Samadhi. Bhikshus possessing 6 things, a monk is capable of attaining strength or power in Samadhi. Now if you see words in square bracket, that means you can use, this is called alternate translation, you can use either word. What are the 6? Okay, so this is the good part, which you should remember if you are meditating. Here, Bhikshus, a monk is skilled in attaining Samadhi. He is skilled in remaining in Samadhi. He is skilled in emerging from Samadhi. He practices with care. He practices with commitment or persistence. He does what is suitable. Bhikshus possessing these 6 things, a monk is capable of attaining strength or power in Samadhi. Now let us look at each of these items. How do we put them into practice? Now you notice 3 of these items already are found in A 6.24, right, which we studied last week. That is in chapter 14 of ST 41. Skill in attaining Samadhi. What does this mean? This, in simple terms, we should learn to be happy, first of all, right? This is where loving kindness meditation is very important. So, never neglect loving kindness. In fact, one of the first things we should do when we go to a new place, whether it's a retreat place or some new temples or any new kind of place we go to for meditation, we just kind of do a very simple loving kindness meditation by calming ourselves and saying, may all the beings here be well and happy. May everyone here be at peace with themselves, kind of generating this wonderful, peaceful aura all around us. This teaching is found in the commentary to the Bala Sutta, the discourse on loving kindness, for example. Then we gladden ourselves internally, right? It's easier to meditate when you're happy. So we smile in our hearts. We actually prepare ourselves by being happy. Here the Pali word is ha-seti, to gladden, to be happy, to smile, to laugh. So this is a very good preparation for your meditation. In fact, the simple act of smiling in your meditation can also be a very effective solution to distractions. Let's say while you're meditating, some thoughts come, just smile at it, let it go, don't follow it, don't kind of be led away, distracted by it. Even when pain arises, pain in the sense like a slight numbness or discomfort, just smile at it, you find the pain comes, the pain goes, it's just temporary. Of course, if your pain is such a nature that because you have not sat properly, or maybe your muscle is really aching, maybe there's a cramp, then just mindfully adjust your legs or even massage your legs a bit if it really hurts. And just focus on the nature of pain. What is pain? What is it like? What do you notice when you watch pain? So this is how we prepare ourselves, especially as beginners, to get used to the idea of sitting in meditation. So here, learning to be happy is a very good start, right? Secondly, how to strengthen our samadhi or meditation is to know what meditation is about. And the best place to know this, of course, would be the suttas, right? And now you find there's so many good translations of the suttas available. But the Sutta Discovery, which you are using now, is the most detailed translation we have anywhere. There are many other translations, but for various reasons, they are not as detailed as the Sutta Discovery series. For example, some translation they need to be contained within so many number of pages within a single volume. Here we don't have that kind of constraint. Here our purpose is to try our best to explain the sutta as completely as possible, as usefully as possible. There are lots of cross-references, and to use a style and language so that we understand as meditation practitioners. Many of these translations, interestingly, they are not done by meditators, and they're also not directed towards meditation practice. The Sutta Discovery translation series has the main idea of helping the meditator, helping us understand what meditation is. So studying the suttas are very helpful for us to understand what meditation is about, what goes on in our meditation, how to talk about meditation. Of course, it also helps. In fact, it's very vital to have an experienced teacher to guide you in the early stages of your meditation learning, so that you can get the right instructions, and you have someone to answer your questions, and such a person is called a spiritual friend. The teacher connects with you through meditation. It's just like learning driving, you need a coach. It's much safer, much more proper that way. Then you get the full benefit of your meditation. So here, in other words, if you know the suttas well, then you begin to see the instructions given in the suttas. And some of the suttas, of course, some teachings are very deep, because the suttas are personal records of the Buddha about how he meditated and what he experienced, his awakening, and also those of other monks. So understandably, some of these teachings do appear deep at first, because these are experiential teachings. In other words, they are not just theory, they are records of deep, profound happenings of the mind that is at peace with itself. So in other words, at first we understand the suttas on a word level, theoretical level, academic level. And that's fine, we start there, but we don't stop there. Scholars normally stop there, and they write their PhDs, and they have all kinds of discussion, and they get their degree that way. Well, that's fine. They're scholars. But if you're a meditator, you have to go deeper. So following the instructions, following your teacher's instructions, you meditate. When you meditate, your mind becomes calmer, and when your mind is calm or calmer, then your mind also becomes clear and clearer. Then you begin to see the connections in the suttas. So this is a kind of next level in understanding the suttas. This is the level of practice, if you like, okay? Or this is sometimes called the level of thinking. You begin to reflect by yourself and you put these things together. But the most important level is called the Bhavana Maya Panya. Bhavana Maya Panya, that means wisdom arising through meditation, or cultivation-based wisdom. In other words, through your meditation, you begin to connect the various teachings of the suttas. You begin to understand deeper aspects of the teaching in the suttas. In fact, if you are a translator of the suttas, yes, you may be able to translate 90% of the suttas, but the 10% are very profound teachings, maybe more than 10%, very profound teachings. That's why you need meditation to understand that particular passage in Pali. And when you begin to notice that it's not always easy to just write it down in English, in normal English. you have to use various what are called techniques and literary methods to present the idea of the peaceful mind. And this is the greatest challenge when we translate the Buddhist suttas. For example, here you see we have Samadhi Bala. It's not just about power, but it's power about the clear, the focused mind, the calm mind. So this is where sometimes we use one word. In English is not enough, so you have to use what I call amplified translations, alternate translations. You have to use footnotes to explain, because sometimes in English you don't have that kind of idea or concept. How do you talk about a peaceful mind in words? Well, that is an experience. So even if we have the best translation, it is still not the real thing. So there are pointers. Sooner or later, even after reading the best translation, you have to do your meditation. And you go back and you read the passage and say, oh, okay, now I know what this passage really means. So this is as far as early Buddhism, the early suttas are concerned. Meditation and the suttas, they go together. They help each other. So that's how we strengthen up, so that we build up the skill to attain the stillness of mind. Remember, when we talk about stillness of mind, we've got to ask ourselves, what is it that prevents the mind from becoming still in the first place? This is the six senses, the eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, and mind. Why? Because, especially with the five physical senses, we have to deal with all this data coming in, input through the five senses. The mind has to process what we see, what we hear, what we smell, what we taste, what we touch. And each of these experiences to the eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, and mind, we have to process in at least three ways. Either we like them, or we don't like them, or we don't care about them, depending on whether we see them as pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral. So you imagine 3 times 6, you get 18 kinds of experiences which we have to deal with all the time. Now this is only talking about the present. Then we sometimes recall, often enough we recall these experiences in the past. And then we try to project it into the future. So some people, they multiply this by 3, so you get 108 kinds of feelings, 108 kinds of thoughts in your life. So can you imagine how much kind of processing goes on in our daily life? No wonder we don't get focused. Right? So in meditation, we just shut the five senses down for a while, give it a rest if you like. And we deal with just one, that is the mind. So when we understand this, we also understand how to gently let go of our distractions, or those senses which distract us. But when we come out of the meditation, and also understanding the nature of the senses, then we are more disciplined, more empowered to calm our mind so that our senses work the way we want it. Basically, experiencing one thing at a time, watching the present moment, and so on. Right? So that's one way of talking about it, watching the present moment. Right, so the next point is skill in remaining in samadhi. So once you have attained this stillness of the mind, how do you remain there? Right, for example, you find, even in the beginners' classes here, after the first sitting, people say, wow, I could feel this, I felt very peaceful, right? But that's just for a very short while. So how do we extend this peacefulness? So this is where, of course, we have to learn to let go of sensual pleasure, meaning here attachment to what we see as pleasurable before us. Because sometimes we say, wow, this experience is very peaceful, I feel so happy, I want more. But once you say, I want more, it's just the opposite of what you are experiencing. This is the irony in meditation. Why do you lose that joyful state when you say, I want more? It's because the joyful state arises without our wanting it. Because wanting it means you are thinking, you are not doing it. I want it, you're thinking. It's a desire. Right? You plan, you want, you look for it. So if your mind becomes very active, looking for something which you do not yet have. So we have to let go of that wanting and just experience what's going on now. And it's just like you're a member of a group of bird watchers, let's say. But if you're not focused and you're not attentive, you're not looking through your binoculars, and this bird is just there for a tiny little bird, it's just there for a moment, and then zap is gone. So you have to watch it very carefully. So same thing with our meditation. We have to stay focused. Just watching the joy, feeling the joy just as it is, without wanting it. In other words, this joy arises through letting go, having nothing to do. Like you finish a job, you feel so happy and relaxed, something like that. Just watching it. So of course, one of the tricks we use here is to smile at it. Because when you smile at it, you kind of connect with this joyful state. Right? So just go on smiling at it, and you find this joyful state tend to last longer. And also we try to notice, rather just be aware, and we notice some kind of distraction is coming. Again, you can smile at the distraction, let it go. Or you can use simple word like peaceful, peaceful. Just say it a couple of times, don't say it too many times, then it becomes thinking. Just say peaceful, whispering in the mind, peaceful, peaceful. To reflect what's going on right in your mind and get back to that peaceful state. Of course, there are many other methods. For example, you can switch your meditation from breath to loving kindness, or loving kindness to breath, right? And so on. But for the moment, these should suffice. So I've already spoken about overcoming the mental hindrances in the A6.24, that is the talk on SD 41.14. So I won't go into details about the mental hindrances here, which also applies, by the way. Number 3 is the emerging from Samadhi. So having sat for your meditation, say for a certain period, you should kind of spontaneously be able to come up your meditation. If you do this regularly, you find your body clock will help you. Again here, you need some kind of familiarity, experience, some sort of training if you like. So it's good to have a watch in front of you if you're a beginner. So after a while you find you don't need a watch anymore. You just sit quietly, and more or less you find you will, when you come out of your meditation, that's about the time you want to sit, say 15 minutes, half an hour, 1 hour, okay? So you kind of time yourself. You have this internal, this body clock that can help you. If your body clock is still not accurate, it's okay. You can still use your digital watch. Time yourself. Of course, one important way is you have to aspire, tell yourself. When you begin your meditation, you say, okay, I'm going to sit for so long. In the Buddha's time, they don't have watches and clocks, so they might say, let's say they start at night, so say, sometimes they meditate the whole night through. So they start meditation at midnight, and they say, okay, I'll get up when the sun rises. I will come up of my meditation when the sun rises. So they kind of mentally tell themselves. There's nothing spectacular about this. It's just like you tell yourself, when you're going to sleep, you say, I'm going to get up tomorrow at 5 a.m. or 6 a.m. And you tell yourself, I must get up at 5 a.m. I must get up at 6 a.m. And you find somehow you will get out around that time. So it's something like that. It's telling yourself again and again, so that it becomes second nature. So this is called emerging from the Samadhi. This is skill number 3. It comes with practice. Right? So in meditation, we don't punish ourselves because we fail. Because meditation is just like a baby, like a toddler learning to walk. We have to be kind to ourselves. At the same time, we have to be firm with ourselves. In other words, don't give up. Just go on practicing, and you get better each time. In that sense, there is no such thing as a bad meditation. You just keep on doing it. Long meditation, short meditation, doesn't matter. Meditation is a habit of learning to calm your mind down, learning to be present to the moment. No matter what happens, you just watch it. You just deal with the emotion that arises at that time. Number 4, practicing with care. Now the Pali word care here is sakaccha. Sakaccha also means respect. So we should conduct ourselves with care and respect. So we have to respect our body and respect our mind. In meditation, you will notice you become more aware of your body. So, for example, when you are eating, you know, okay, I think I've eaten enough, okay? And there are teachings about eating, right? If you are a meditator, you should try to stop eating before you feel really full. This is quite tricky, you know? So you have to sense, I think I'm going to be full, right? So you stop before you feel full. Because if you stop when you feel really full, you're going to get sleepy, and it's going to affect your meditation, for example. Having said that, we can conversely say it is easier to meditate if you're hungry rather than if you're full, right? So if you lack food, in a sense, it can be a blessing, right? And of course, if you go for meditation retreat, you find that is usually enough to eat, but normally we would take like 1 or 2 meals a day, and it depends on the precepts you keep. If you keep to the 8 precepts, you only take meals between sunrise and noon, right? So you might take breakfast and then a good lunch, and then maybe in the evening, if you are really hungry, take some drinks or some milk products. Usually people who have difficulties with food, the retreat organizer usually will tell you, you can always take some food on your own if you like. So you do this quietly without disturbing other meditators. So you adjust yourself accordingly. And you find that as you practice, you need less and less food. And that's how you also become more, it's a good way of losing your weight, for example. It's a good way of being healthy, right? And as you begin to know your body better, you know, for example, you need to go to answer nature's call, you need to rest. Certain kinds of food may not makes you feel uneasy, so you take less of that kind of food and so on. So you become more sensitive to your body. And in that way, you also become healthy. You come out of your retreat with a radiant face. And that's provided you do loving kindness too, because there are stories where people stagger out their 1 week retreat and they go really blur. They might even forget their way home. So I'm amazed to hear such stories. That means they have not been doing their meditation in a balanced way. Probably they did not do loving kindness meditation. You know? Because there are all kinds of meditation today. Some teachers are very strict with their practitioners. They just want them to do hours of sitting, to stop thinking and so on. When we say meditation, we stop thinking, what we mean is we don't want thoughts to intrude into our meditation. We let go of thoughts. We don't hate thoughts, but we just give thoughts a rest. Here, thoughts means having to process all this data to the senses. But once you come out of your meditation, even during the meditation retreat, you find your senses are so clear. When you see a beautiful flower, you can experience it directly. And if you're a writer, your mind is very clear. You might get wonderful ideas during a retreat. And there's nothing wrong in you having a notebook and in your free time at the right time, not while you're meditating, but during your break, after your meditation, you can write down those notes. If you're a musician, you might hear heavenly sounds. If you're a painter, you might see beautiful pictures, inspirations. So these things happen if you really do good meditation. But that's not what we want alone in meditation. We want real peace of mind and then awakening itself in the end, or at least string winning in this life. But there are also worldly benefits, creative benefits, good health when we meditate. And that is because we never neglect loving kindness. Very important. No matter what kind of other meditation should do, I think it's good to start off with loving kindness and also end with loving kindness. At least in a very brief kind of cultivation of loving kindness. So practicing with care means you're aware of your body and you also prepare yourself well for your meditation. Let's say if you're doing a solitary retreat, there are lots of centers and places to go to now, local and overseas. So you have to, usually you have to prepare your own food, clothing, things like that, first aid. So you have to plan ahead. You're not sure, ask a seasoned meditator. Right? In some retreat centers today, it's very comfortable. They're almost like hotels. They provide you all kinds of necessities, so you don't have to worry very much. So that's one kind of place you can also go to. Of course, still it's good to be prepared and don't assume that whatever you need is there. So you have to like maybe go one day earlier and you just check the place out and so on. And basically be prepared, well prepared for your retreat. Find out what kind of weather the place at that time of the year will be, what kind of natural surrounding it has, how to prepare yourself. And it can be very cold, maybe then you bring something warm and so on and so forth. Yeah? And of course you need to bring some light. It's getting very dark at night in some of these forest retreat centers and so on. So, and once you are in the retreat center, you find they might expect you to do some duties or chores. And it's also part of your meditation practice, if you like. For example, early in the morning, after the morning sitting, people are expected to sweep the floor, or maybe rake the leaves, water the plants, kind of simple things like that. So you're going to do all these things meditatively, right? It's part of your meditation practice also. Because remember, even the monks themselves, they have to do these things. They're living in the forest, they have to clear the area around their kuti, their hut, or their cloth, as we call it in Thai. That means this umbrella, which is like a mosquito net. And they have to prepare water for themselves, and they have to wash their robes, things like that. So all these duties must be done mindfully. In some earlier talks I said that we can even mindfully wash dishes, for example, right? And all, even our mundane daily things can be done mindfully. So practicing with care, that means mindfully going about your duties and business in a retreat environment and respecting your body. Now, 1.5, practicing with commitment, satachakari, commitment. In simple terms, don't give up. You have decided to meditate, that's what you do. So what does that mean? Number one, the very first thing you should do when you go for a retreat center is make sure this is where killing is good, okay? You kill your phone. Switch it off, total silence, right? Refuse to turn on the phone during the retreat. You might say, oh, let me check a message. That's the end of your retreat. You might as well just give your donation to the retreat center and don't go there. Stay at home. You're wasting your money and time. Switch off your phone, leave it unswitched right to the end of the retreat. Then you're totally at peace with yourself. After that, whatever you have to deal with, family business, no matter how urgent, you deal with it at the end of the retreat. So you're committed to your practice, then you get the full benefit of your practice. This has to be stressed because a lot of urban people today place so much priority, so much premium on their phones, right? So you can easily get distracted. Then they complain, why am I stressed, why can't I focus? Because the phone is a very great distractor. So you've got to kind of just keep it silent for a while. Okay? And tell yourself, I've come here for a retreat, so you've got to renounce the world for a while. Leave behind your work, leave behind your family, leave behind the world that you have come from. You have renounced the world, you are entering a new world now, kind of in-between states that will help you to attain awakening in this life itself. And I'm not saying this as a pious statement, because if you really understand the suttas well, right now you can aspire to attain awakening in this life itself. It's no big deal really. Because if we call ourselves Buddhists and we don't feel that we can attain awakening in this life itself, that means something is seriously wrong. And what's the point of being a Buddhist if you can awaken in this life? I'm not talking about arahathood, although it's possible for monks and nuns who are serious in their practice. I'm talking about chapter 25 of the Samyutta Nikaya, the Connected Sayings, where the Buddha gives us 10 suttas, where the Buddha says, constantly reflect on impermanence of the five senses, for example. Let's go on reflecting regularly, habitually practicing the perception of impermanence. So in a retreat, this is one practice which we can always do in between the other practices. So if you regularly practice the perception of impermanence or reflection on impermanence, the Buddha says, for example, in the Anicca Chakku Sutta, S25.1, the Buddha says, in this life itself you attain stream winning. If not, definitely at the moment of passing away. So remember, when you go for your retreat, this chance of opening yourself up to awakening in this life is always there. But you must make the aspiration. You must say, I want to awaken as a stream winner in this life itself. Some people, they get very worried. They say, oh, what happens when I awaken? Does that mean I can't watch TV anymore? I can't play golf or go to a cinema show or get married or run a business? Not at all. We're talking about a layman's life here. You have two plans, as I said. A Buddhist plan for cultivation. One is the lay person, where we can enjoy what I call the five pleasure, the five causes of sensual pleasure within the purview of the five precepts. There are many such saints in the Buddha's time. Anathapindika, King Bimbisara, and thousands, most of the lay people have attained this level of stream winning and non-return. And they were merchants, they were family people, they were workers. So this is the layman's way of awakening, through stream winning and non-return. You don't need deep jhanas here. You keep the precepts, practice mindfulness. The other is the monastic way, the way of the renunciants. They practice meditation to attain jhana, so they try to work towards non-return and arahathood. In other words, they experience deep jhana, the very great profound joy beyond the body, pleasure of the mind. They've gone beyond the pleasure of the body, so they don't need physical pleasure, they don't need sex, they don't need marriage, they don't need money. They attain awakening as non-returners, arahats in this life itself. So that's the other, shall we say, the highway to awakening, right? Whereas for lay people, we may take a little longer, but it's okay. Although it's a little longer, we are taking a safe highway towards awakening. Then number 6 is the last item, doing what is suitable. Sappaya. This word sappaya in Thai has become sabai. It means it makes you comfortable way. No? So here sappaya means whatever helps you in your meditation. It could be the place, it could be things that support you, any kind of situation that helps you to meditate. In other words, we have to keep on looking for the right conditions here. Here we have the famous story of Punna of Sunaparanta in the Punnovada Sutta in the Majjhima Nikaya. There's a story about how he struggled during the first rains retreat, and he became an arahat during that time. His story is really very beautiful and powerful story. He took leave of the Buddha. He tells the Buddha, I'm taking leave now. I'd like to go back to my home country to practice and maybe teach the Dharma. Then the Buddha kind of sort of tested him to see if he's ready to go. So the Buddha asked him, this place you're going back to, this Sunaparanta, I heard that it's a terrible place, right? Well, what if you go back and these people, what if they insult you and scold you and verbally abuse you? And then Puna says, oh, that's okay, they don't kind of hit me with sticks or throw stones at me. Then Buddha says, what if they do that? What if they throw stones at you and hit you with sticks? And then Puna says, well, it's okay, they're just doing that, and they're not really hitting me hard with, say, with a sword or something. The Buddha, there are many other kind of, this is called, what they call this, a progression in suffering, or the different kinds of suffering. So the next one is, what if they hit you with the flat of a spear or a sword, and say, oh, it's okay, they're not hurting me with a knife, with a sword. And then finally the Buddha asks, what if they hit you? What if they actually strike you with a sword and kill you? That's the final question. So Buddha says, well, then Bhante, I should thank them for getting rid of this vile body. It helps me to progress better. I can, I don't have to worry about this body anymore, right? You might say it's an academic question. Here the Buddha is not saying killing is all right, dying is a great thing, be a martyr. That's not the teaching. Here the teaching is how far are you willing to go for the Dharma? How far are you willing to stand up for the Dharma? Are you going to run away when your life is in danger? Are you going to stand there for the Dharma? And this monk said, I will stand there, even if it costs my life. So this is an amazing story of courage, in other words. So the Buddha tells him, okay, it looks like you're ready to go back. Right? So he goes back. And in fact, when he goes back, things are not really that bad. He has relatives back there. And in fact, he was a good meditator. So the first place he went back to was a place called Cloud Hand Hill, Abbahati Papatana. These names are on page 146. So there is a trader's village there. So he will go to the village for alms and then go back to his little hut for meditation in the forest. Then his younger brother, Chula Punna, heard that he is back, so his brother is very happy and starts coming to see him and in a sense bother him, they're kind of close to him. So he felt that this is not going to help. Here again you see he's a monk, so he felt that he should not be socializing with the family, he's not awakened yet, so that would not be helpful. So he quietly, without taking leave, he quietly goes away to another place called the Sea Hill Vihara, Sea Hill Residence, Samudra Giri Vihara. Samudra means sea or ocean, and Giri means hill. So there he builds a walkway, ambulatory for his walking meditation, with magnetite or lodestone. Apparently there are lots of these kinds of magnetic stones. And he was trying to meditate there, but it's so near the sea, and these breakers, the waves are very loud. And he had difficulty meditating. Okay, he tries to determine silence. In other words, he mindfully tried to let go of the sound. And while he does that, he could meditate. But that takes a lot of effort, so it was difficult for him. Then he moved on. So in other words, whenever he found the place is not conducive, he moves on. Okay, so he moves on to the third place now, and this third place is called Uncle's Hill, Matulagiri. And there another karma ripens for him. There are lots of birds, a big flock of birds, making lots of noise. It probably his old friends in past lives. They're making a lot of loud noises, and he couldn't meditate. Normally you hear birds, you can meditate. Like for example, our house, we hear all kind of birds. But now they've chopped down the trees, you don't hear them anymore. We're rather sad about this. So anyway, these birds, they come in a big flock, probably seabirds. A lot of noise. And that again disturbed his meditation. So he moved on to the last stop, number 4 this time, to what's called Budding Park Vihara, Makulakarama Vihara. There he lived in a place not too far, not too near to a merchant village, so he can collect alms, support himself. and the place is quite isolated and peaceful. And there again, he constructs a walkway, he does his walking meditation, seeking meditation, and finally he attains arhathood. So you see here, he did not give up, he went on looking for a suitable place. So this is a lesson for us, sometimes we find maybe it's not easy to meditate at home. Maybe we can go on to maybe go to the park to meditate, or maybe go some quiet place around Singapore, or maybe take a boat trip to St. John's Island or somewhere, some quiet place, maybe Kusu Island, maybe find some quiet place to meditate. So basically, don't give up. Just go around looking for the environment, or maybe choose a suitable time in the day, in the morning, at night, and so on. So these are the ways to strengthen your meditation. You knowing how to attain Samadhi or mental stillness, how to remain in your mental stillness, and how to come out of it at the right time, and how to care for your meditation, proper care, to be committed in your practice, and finally to make sure the environment, your life conduces to your meditation. In other words, don't forget your precepts, moral virtue, because the meditator also lives a life which is harmonious with others. In other words, your body and speech are in harmonious with your mind. You can't be breaking the precepts and meditating. Your meditation will deteriorate somehow. You will weaken somehow. So your moral virtue and your mental cultivation will go together. So if you're a lay person in a family, you find your meditation makes you a better family man. Somehow members of your family also will feel this calmness. They will benefit from it too. And your friends also will benefit. So it is something, it's not a joy for just one person. So if you do this well and you're a lay person, you find this inner joy, inner calm also touches other people. That is a wonderful way to meditate. So we end today's study here. Alright, let us do a short reflection here. Once in a while it's good to spend time just to reflect on the Buddha's teaching, especially in terms of mental peace, or even to ask basic questions in our lives, like how can my mind be peaceful? What is the purpose of my life? How to be happy? Once you ask these kind of questions, you find the answers will naturally come to you, especially if you have studied suttas before. You have practiced some meditation, no matter how simple, because we are opening ourselves up to welcome our past good karma. We all have done good and bad things in the past. But when we reflect in this way, we are attracting and extracting all this wonderful good karma from the past to help us build up this wonderful present so that we flower forth into deeper peace, joy, and wisdom in the future. Reflecting in this way is very good mental karma. But the power of such karma, may we attain peace, joy and success in this life itself. In this life itself, may we attain spiritual liberation, especially stream winning. And in this moment of peace, let us share our loving kindness to all those who have taught us in the Dharma, or taught us to be good and happy people in some way. Let us share our loving kindness with our loved ones and our friends, and also to those people whom the Dharma have not touched, that they may open their minds and be liberated to the Dharma. May all beings be well and happy. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Do you have any questions?
Yeah, maybe
Mm-hmm.
to discuss some certain things with you.
Mm-hmm.